Hello. This is not something I ever thought I'd have to do, but here we are, because I can't carry on doing what I'm doing and not address this. I hope you can all forgive me for doing what I've done, but I feel disgusting for doing it. I've let Tamina go. I know if you're disappointed, I can only apologise. It will never happen again. I'm sorry. I will learn from my mistakes. And if you can no longer want to support me, feel free. But Tamina is gone. She just wasn't doing very good, and her contract came up, and I didn't feel the need to extend it because I plug in developmental people. Just had to get that off my chest. And hopefully, if you can still bring yourself to support me, I'll see you next time. Bye. Like I said, anyone who can still have the heart to be here, welcome to episode number 35, I do believe, of the TEW Challenge Run. It's week 3 of July, Friday, night SmackDown. Road to One Night Stand continues. Without any further ado, let's just jump straight into the show. Had to clear the throat a bit later on. Now that's all done, we start with Paige. She approaches the Hoss House backstage. Braun Strowman, Tucker, Dabba-Kato, and Ebukanu. She tells them that one of them will face Roman Reigns tonight. And if they win, Braun will choose the stipulation for the match at One Night Stand. And if Roman wins, he will choose the stipulation. Tucker steps forward, and as the big brave man he is, he says, "It will be me, I will face Roman Reigns tonight." So the main event is going to be the Big Dog and Big Tuck. Winner gets to choose the stipulation for the match at One Night Stand. Shotzi teams with Naomi against Carmella and Dana Brooke, basically just because Shotzi helped Naomi last week defeat Lacey Evans, so they're sort of, hey, Lacey's not here tonight, let's have a team up. They beat Carmella and Dana, 32 for Shotzi, 49 for Naomi, 45 for Carmella, 32 for Dana Brooke. Just a nice 47's actually a good rating for this, to be fair, so can't be too angry. Speaking of Lacey, she has a little backstage, well, not backstage, like pre-recorded skit in like some military camp with James Storm and the other two Forgotten Sons. They're like carrying barrels and like doing military courses to make sure they're in the best shape to take over SmackDown and that dastardly Rob Gronkowski. Dolph Ziggler is backstage, and he's approached by Robert Roode. Roode asks, he's like, "Hey Ziggler, what happened to you? You were my tag team partner, and we were on top of the world as the tag team champions. But now you're losing to past their prime old men like Jeff Hardy. No more." Roode says he'll accompany Ziggler tonight, and he can help him become the show-off once more. And they have their match. Oh, he doesn't have his match. They don't have their match. He has a match with Tyler Breeze. He's a 64. Dolph gets a 66. Breeze a 41. Ziggler wins in 9 minutes with a super kick. Robert Roode grabs Tyler Breeze, lays him out of a glorious DDT. He shouts that will be Jeff Hardy next time they meet. So Roode sort of sending his message to Jeff Hardy too, because he's a bit pissed off that his old friend Dolph Ziggler keeps losing to him. Cut backstage, and there's an interview with Cynthia Crespo and Death from Above, Metalik and Dorado. She says it's no surprise that New Day came to the aid of Kalisto last week, because they are, just like he is, a joke. They bond with Kalisto because they both make a mockery of tag team wrestling. But that day is over. You could say it really will be a new day in wrestling, because when Metalik destroys Kalisto, it will be a new day in the tag team division, and that one that sees Death from Above on top. Message very clearly sent to the SmackDown Tag Team Champions that they want another shot, but not as the Lucha House Party. But I mean, technically they didn't even get a shot because Lindsay was injured, so it was Metalik and Kalisto. But them two together with this new attitude want another chance to dethrone the New Day at One Night Stand. Melee and Kalisto have their match, gets a 56, which is pretty good considering the people in it. Melee, of course, defeats Kalisto in 7:15 with a Melee driver. He gets a 51, Kalisto a 47. I did set this as high spots because I thought that would help, and it looks like it did because I doubt it would have got this rating if I didn't make it a flippy match between two luchadors. Melee and Dorado continue the assault on Kalisto after the match. They beat him up, they lay him out with another Metal League driver, they trap his head on the steel steps, and Cynthia Crespo is ordering directions. She hands a chair to Metal League and or Dorado, one or the other, and one of them will deliver a sick concerto with Kalisto's head pinned on the steel steps, and the steel chair used to smack to concerto, I think they call it, yeah. And Cynthia will celebrate Kalisto's pain until they are jumped by New Day. New Day take the fight, and then Cynthia backs away. She's like, lads, come on, save it. And then New Day check up on Kalisto, who's clearly fucked after this segment. In what could very well be the segment that writes him off, because he's the expendable unit here. I think he's shit, and I'm not going to use him as a single star. So that could very well be the last of Kalisto here on SmackDown. Who knows? But what I do know is you're about to witness one of the greatest segments in TEW history. The lights go out, and Greg is like, ladies and gentlemen, and you think he's about to introduce Elias, but he says the golden role models. And I love the spotlight comes into the ring and Sasha and Bayley are in there. Bayley would have like a fucking cowbell. Sasha would have just the microphone. They say last week those Japanese idiots ruined Bayley's Women's Championship defense. However, this week they are revolting with a concert of their own. And then out comes Elias. He walks down the stage with his guitar. He takes a stool. He brings a stool with him. Stool over one shoulder, guitar over the other shoulder. Puts a stool in the middle of the ring. He takes a sit on it. Because he takes the microphone first. He's like, last couple of times, a couple of weeks ago, last month, I was forced to duet with J-Flo. And that was when he realised they suck. Boo. J-pop music sucks. And then Sasha would be like, no, just J-Flo. Actually, most J-pop songs are a bit of a bop because I'm a weeb. So, and then they begin their performance. Elias is strumming his guitar. Bayley's smashing the cowbell that is being overly obnoxious. But they're cut off by J-Flo on the ramp, who interrupt them with their own performance. And then once they start performing and cutting off Sasha, Bayley, and Elias, the three heels in the ring get louder. And then J-Flo get louder, and it sort of results in the two group having an impromptu rock-off, one on the stage, one in the ring. Then Sasha and Bayley give up because they can't outperform J-Flo. They go up to the top, they climb up, they go up the ramp, they go to attack them. Sasha Banks takes her Money in the Bank briefcase, and she goes to cave in Mackie's head with a briefcase shot. But then as she hits the briefcase, it just dents around the shape of Mackie's head. And she sits there and she laughs at Sasha. She flips her off and she goes to attack her, but Bayley takes her down. And the rest of J-Flo have to pull Bayley away. And they all go to the back, having held Bayley off from further attacking their lead singer. And Elias is just in the ring like, what's happening? So, very, very eventful segment. Sasha and Bayley tried to out J-Flo, but they couldn't quite get it done. Miz and Morrison defeat Mason Bluewood and Phil Roden, the greatest tag team, of course blowing their big debut, much as people with similar names tend to do. Miz pinned Mason Bluewood with a skull-crushing finale. Morrison 68, Miz 69, Roden 34, Bluewood 27, and they've now departing SmackDown Live after making their debut. And probably off to go and find some Icelandic women somewhere. Anyway, Drew Gulak comes out after the match. He makes a beeline for the ring. Morrison says that Gulak needs to... He's like, whoa, Gulak, Drew, stop. Like, he knows it was his car. Because, blimey, no one else on SmackDown can afford a car like that, apart from maybe The Miz. He knows Miz hates Daniel Bryan, but he was just getting his gear out of the car. He must have forgotten to lock it. And someone else got in there and ran over Bryan. Okay, it wasn't him. It just looked like it was Morrison. He was clearly set up by whoever it was. And Gulak's like, you expect me to believe that bullshit? And he slaps Morrison. And Morrison's like, well, you see, Drew. And then Miz lays him out for Skull Crushing finale, and Miz and Morrison beat up Drew Gulak. So Morrison was trying to plead his case here. Gulak didn't let him. And was it Morrison? Was it not Morrison? Was it all a setup? Who knows? But Gulak seems to think it was Morrison. Morrison's telling him, no, it wasn't me. Kayla welcomes her guests, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Kayla asks Alexa what her mindset is with Dakota challenging them to a match at One Night Stand, as well as the continued threats from Sonya Deville, obviously with the messages she's been sending with these videos of her in the training camp. Alexa says she beat Sonya, and Sonya keeps sending these videos of her from some training camp, but guess what? The training wasn't enough to beat the goddess last time, and now she's in the best shape of her life, with her and her best friend will win the tag team titles and become the first ever 3-time women's tag team champions. Will that be the case? We'll have to wait and see. Speaking of Sonya, she has a match with Performance Center graduate called Mary Jo Foster, and she knocks her out in 3 minutes 12 seconds with some sort of big kick. And then Sonya starts taunting like, yeah, bitch. Now what? Kayla has an interview with Sami Zayn. She asks him his thoughts on having to battle two men who can't stand each other, but he also considers both of them his friends. Sami says he knows Shinsuke wants to be Intercontinental Champion again. That's why he's buttering up to Sami. He thinks he'll help him win that triple threat match. But John Shinsuke's in for a surprise, because when that bell rings, all friendships go out the window, and it all becomes about that IC Championship. And he will become a 2-time Intercontinental Champion. So when Shinsuke walks in, he sort of puts his arm around Sami like a sarcastic dickhead. Just like, next week there's a match. Shinsuke teams with his best friend, Sami Zayn, against Cesaro. And since Cesaro's only friend is Sami Zayn, and he's already taken for that match, I guess Cesaro won't have a partner. So it's Cesaro and a pun, if he can find one, against Zayn and Nakamura next week. Bayley and Sasha are in Paige's office. Sorry, that way round. Bayley says that she would have put Mackie down right then and there if it wasn't for the ridiculous numbers game that her and Sasha are against, because there's about 1 million of these Japanese women in this band, and there's only 2 of them golden role models. Paige says Bayley got what she deserved by trying to out J-Flow with that terrible performance that these two and Elias put on, but she'll humour Bayley. Next week will be a tag match. It'll be the 2 of them against any 2 members of J-Flow, obviously that aren't Mackie. And let's see if they can out Bayley and Sasha in the wrestling ring. So it'll be these 2 against 2 members of J-Flow, obviously other than Mackie, next week in a tag team match. Because we think we know who the better performers are. Let's see who the better wrestlers are, and who the better team is. Just a hype segment. This isn't a Funhouse. It's not going to be a flashy Funhouse intro. Hyping up the match between Goldberg and Bray Wyatt from Super Showdown, and then the subsequent picking up of that feud. And they say that the first time of this month, Goldberg will be back on SmackDown. $1.5 million will be flushed down the drain, so he can stand here, make himself bleed and grunt. But Bray Wyatt will also be here, and they will meet face to face in the ring. 73, pretty good main event, all things considered. Roman defeats Tucker in 12:41 with a spear, because there's big shenanigans from ringside. The 2 members of the House try and get involved, but then Otis and Ali come out to even the odds. And then once the numbers game has all been sorted and wiped out and neutralised, you know you're one-on-one with a big dog. It ain't ending well. Braun comes out of nowhere. He jumps Roman after the match. He gets him out for a big power slam, but then Ali and Otis slide back into the ring and they grab one of his legs each and pull him off of Braun. Ali would hit the Monster Among Men with a super kick, staggering him. Then Roman would cock his fist, Superman punch, taking the champion down, and then he rolls out of the ring to the barricade on the far right. Roman then slides out the ring the other side. He does what Braun Strowman normally does, he does the whole lap and takes everyone out. He goes for the full lap, but he meets Braun at the barricade and there's a big old spear through the barricade. He then announces that a one-night stand. He'll face Braun. Last man standing. Oh. Oops. Here I was about to say, I think this will be a pretty good show. Apparently there was not enough wrestling. Welp. Hopefully we can fix that next week. Of course, what matters more than that is what you thought of the show. Do let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I'll see you next time for Raw, where hopefully we balance out our wrestling and our non-wrestling angles. See you then.